It is the Friday Q&A. I'm going to talk about Amazon affiliate marketing and project management. And a lot of people sent in questions, so that's awesome. I see we have a handful of people in the house already. Give me a shout if you haven't already. And I see we have Famicom, Marcus, Patrick. It's Patrick's first live stream. Welcome. Special day for Patrick. And then we have Josh, Rose, Paul. Hi. We have Jaron and Success and Wesley. David's on also. Good to see you on here, David. So a bunch of questions were sent in. There's a whole slew of them in the description, so you could check them out. And basically, I'm going to try and get to those pretty quick. And Jaron says, we should chat about your site. By the way, Jaron is Jared and Wesley. They're famous. They were on the channel, Success Interviews. There's a link in the description for that. And then we have John, also one of these success stories, Graham, Philip, John, and Michael. I feel better today. So someone sent an email, said I looked tired the last the last live stream, which was true. Here in Bozeman, it's Bozeman Beer Week. And I have a lot of friends who work at breweries. And then I'm good friends with the two founders of the Beer Week. It's the second year. So there's a lot of activities going on. I participated in a couple. So on Sunday, this past Sunday, I was in the Beer Olympics. So my event was the like tug of war, and I lost. I fell off the bucket. There's a video. I'm gonna try and get that out as a vlog before too long. And then this is very exciting. On Wednesday, I combined two things that I like: the beer mile. Now I was on a team, so there was a relay, but that event consists of chugging a beer, a 12-ounce beer, and then running one lap, so 400 meters or so, quarter mile. We came in third. My team came in third, and it was amazing. It seemed it's just as bad as you think it is. Now, the crazy thing is there was a individual event as well. The guy who won that, he ran his beer mile in 5 minutes and 33 seconds. So he chugged 4 beers, like one each lap, and then ran, and he finished in faster than I could run a mile. So I'm not sure if my life depended on it, if I could run a mile that fast, even without drinking the beers. In fact, just drinking 4 beers in 5 minutes, that'd be pretty tough. So anyway, everyone think about that. And indeed, I was tired the other day. I'm feeling a little bit better today. So, all right, let's see here. Cool. And we have Duke on. What's up? One of the kind moderators. And Jaron, yeah, I'll send you an email, or you could send me one and just give me the bullet points. We could chat again, see if I could help you or anything like that. All right. I'm going to get to some of the questions because there are quite a few. I'm going to point out a couple links. So if you want to submit questions, like if you're watching the replay later, you could submit questions via the bit.ly link there. And it seems to be working pretty well. It helps me organize a little bit ahead of time. If you're not on the email list, you could sign up for them or sign up for the email list. You get a bunch of goodies. These success stories, those are very cool. Do check them out. Some of them are long, so you may not be able to watch all of them in one sitting, but find the playlist, bookmark it, whatever you need to do, and go back and watch. Like, there's cool nuggets of information from each person. Couple of affiliate links I need to point out. So you have nichesiteproject.com/Siteground. I use Siteground for my hosting. And then SEMrush. I enjoy it as an SEO tool. Now, let's see. I think I said hello to everyone. Graham and Philip and John. Diane says you're so glad you found the channel. I'm glad as well. And Mama needs her wine. Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, I drink anything, really. And Bob's on. Okay. So I'm going to get to some of the questions because there are just so many of them. So John sent in a question, and it says, I asked before about improving content, and adding content in hopes of increasing rankings. Should you only choose posts that are on the lower part of the first page of the SERPs, or also on the second? That is totally up to you, John. So I would mainly focus on like the stuff that's on page one. But here's the deal. You could add content to all of your pages. Just prioritize it based on like where it's ranked. So I would aim for the stuff that's ranked higher first and then go down from there. And I mean, the thing is, if you just focus on stuff that's on page one, that'll probably take you plenty of time anyway. So if you just focus on that, that'll be fine. So I hope that helps clarify like how to focus. But it's really up to you. I mean, if you wanted to, you could add content to every single one of your posts. And the reason I'm prioritizing the higher ranking stuff is like, Google likes that already. All right. Next question from Danielle. Can we outrank big sites like TechTrader? There's a keyword sample like best product for some kind of action. The KGR is very low, but big sites are ranking. Can we outrank them by targeting the full keyword and title, meta description, and URL? The answer is maybe. It depends. It depends on more factors than I can even think of. But basically, it might work. There's no harm in publishing something and then see how it does. I would say if they are just huge sites, then you may need to be like more specific and go after like a deeper long tail. But if you publish something and it's a KGR term and it looks good, you may not rank for that term where these other sites are doing so well, but you may be able to rank for some long tails that are just incidental within your article. And that's fine too. It's not bad to have. So I would say give it a shot, but it could be tough to actually outrank such a big site. Next, could you provide some advanced commentary on the KGR that includes other metrics to check? So for example, even if a keyword only has 10 all-in titles and those 10 pages might be high authority and thus hard to beat. Do I check for this sort of thing? That's from Curtis. By the way, if you send in your questions, I try and give you a shout out, first names only. I think it is actually a little helpful. So here is the thing. I do have some advanced commentary. It is more sort of like in a test phase. So I'm still gathering data. The testing cycle is sort of long for this sort of thing. And the other part is like the KGR, like advanced KGR stuff. That's more for like the 5-figure niche site course. But what I can tell you is if your site's older, then you could be relaxed on the formula and you could probably rank for it. However, what Curtis is really asking is, are there other metrics to check for? Yeah, you could do like deep competition analysis. You could look at the number of backlinks the other pages have, the amount of content that they have, so both on-page and off-page SEO. But in general, I don't look too hard at the other metrics. I would potentially take a look at, information that you can get from like Ahrefs. Okay, I'll do one more question from the list and then I'll hop over. I see the chat has some more action happening. So any tips on organizing the menu on a website? The person, John, says, I fear I've picked a niche that's too extensive and you're unsure for the menu to help people navigate the site. Keep it simple. I would put very few things in the menu. Probably most people are just going to like land on your site and then go on like that one page that they're looking for, and then they'll bounce, like they'll go somewhere else. Very few people are going to navigate your site. So less is more. You don't want to have it complicated. So less is more. That's my advice on that. I'm not a user interface person at all. Okay, Polina says you're using the KGR and it worked well for you. You have a site with 18 articles and you had 500 people daily on your site. the site's 9 months old. The problem is that on April 17th, you started to lose tons of traffic. It dropped 70% in 2 weeks. One of your best keywords dropped off. You've never practiced any black or gray hat SEO. Do I have any idea? Oh, sorry. If you have any idea what I should do or what this could be, please give me advice. I don't know exactly what that is. I'll ask a couple quick questions. Actually, and Polina, send me an email, please. I've heard a couple people say that they've seen traffic drop, and I think there may be some algorithm testing going on. So if you could like give me information, was it a new domain? Did you send any backlinks at all? Are there any backlinks? The interesting thing is you haven't done any gray hat. So yeah, let me know what kind of links you have. Was it a 301 redirect in any fashion or anything like that? You don't have much in the way of content on your site. Like 18 articles is not that many. So I'm not sure. However, what I would say is because you don't know what it is, you probably just have to wait. Like if it's an SEO, if it's an algorithm testing situation, like it may just recover in a couple weeks, right? Or it may, they may be testing it on certain pieces of the database on the internet or whatever. So I am not sure. And Paul P says the same thing, same problem since the beginning of May. Okay. Interesting. Okay. And Matthew sent in a question, which I put in here. So if you sent in the question, you don't have to ask it in the chat. Just I have it on the list, so you don't have to ask it. Just a note. Okay. But basically, Matthew is asking if he could put Amazon links in a YouTube video. Yeah, you can. You need to say that it's an affiliate link, and usually there is a checkbox in your YouTube settings for a video, and you can say, yes, this is a sponsored or affiliate type piece of content. John says, will I be doing a demo on Ahrefs for my most valuable methods? Maybe. I might be doing that. I know I'm actually there's a little bit in 5-figure niche site, and I'll probably be beefing that up now that Ahrefs has like way more functionality. All right, just says you're from Nigeria and it's your first time on. Awesome, great. All right, and I'm going to go through a couple more live questions here. CDIC says, you're here to update me about the expired domain and said that it's not ranking and it might be in the sandbox. Well, it turned out there were too many affiliate links. How do you recommend 1,000 words with 4 products? Like how many affiliate links? Okay. I would say how many affiliate links for 1,000 words? I'd put like 4 or 5 in there, something like that. And yeah, CDIC, this is an interesting point. So here's one of the small flaws with the Q&A stuff that we have here. So when someone says, hey, I have a site and it's not ranking, this one happened to be an expired domain, but it could really be anything, right? You can say, hey, it's not ranking. I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and you may have some suspicion on what the issue is. But in this format, it's basically impossible for me to like audit or troubleshoot someone's site. So I do my best, but when you take a look, it's like, oh, most of the time, not always, but most of the time, it's some mistake that was made that, there's like 10 things you should check out. One of them is like, if you have way too many affiliate links, it could be harming your site. So yeah, less is more as far as affiliate links as well. See, the good job figuring that out, by the way. Philip says, image alt tags. If your article is about tire irons, is it bad to tag all the images with that specific thing? Is it keyword stuffing? I haven't done that exactly, but I would say don't do that, right? Be a little bit more like elegant and accurate with what you're describing. So if you have any suspicion, actually in both of these cases, right? If you have any suspicion that you're like, hey, is this too many affiliate links? The answer is yes. And if you're thinking, hey, is this keyword stuffing? The answer is yes. So be a little bit more deliberate with what you're doing. I would say partial match alt text is a good thing to do. Super says, what's my number one tip for new affiliate marketers regarding a new website? Be patient. All right. And Duke says, there was a core update at that time. Try using more H2 and H3 headings, keywords in the last 100 words. Add a privacy policy. Correlation studies have shown this has done some of it. Good to know. Hey, Duke, can you shoot me an email, please, with the reference for those changes? I have a friend who's experiencing some issues, so just curious to see if there's correlation on his sites too. And David, adding fuel to the fire, says you've seen one of your old sites shoot up in the past couple weeks for rankings and traffic. Interesting. Yeah, I was gonna say I have a site that like it may be nothing, but I like traffic looks like it's up like 2 to 3% or something over the past week. All right. And Matthew says, congratulations. All right. So Matt says you have a site that made 1,300 in a month and you'd send me details after you hit 1,000. So yeah, send it this weekend. It'll be really cool to catch up. ELC, does Google have a problem with links from press releases? I don't think so. Not that I know of. Overdose says, hi from Spain. What's up? If you launch a brand new site, does it help to have an already existing domain name, not a new one? Yes. And Matthew is asking about what I'm drinking. Yeah, good question here. It is actually it's a little it's hard to see it, but right now, since I've been chugging it, this is green tea. It's what is it? Gunpowder green tea with yerba mate, and then I put a little half and half in there, just because I like it. So, and then I have the remaining coffee on deck for when I drink this. So, let's see. Bynum says, do I mainly use context links in paragraphs? Yes. Authority Aid says, can I say something about micro niche websites? Is it dead now or still works? I don't know if I would say I would recommend don't going for micro stuff. So aim a little higher. I think it could probably still work, to be honest with you, but it probably takes close to the same amount of work as doing something a little bit more exciting. So just do something more exciting. But your question is, can it still work? Probably. But yeah, it's kind of a waste of time. All right. Green Engineer says, do I think Google auto suggest KGR converts well? Yes. Yeah. That is one of the main sources of it is like the most manual way, like the KGR is slow just in general. And then the other part is like the auto suggest is one of the slower ways to do it versus like, you know, it feels better to go to SEMrush, pull a report of 10,000 keywords and start sorting through so you have a huge list to go through. But you spend all your time with data manipulation. However, the auto suggest stuff seems to convert really well from a sales perspective. And then from like a traffic and ranking perspective, it seems to work really well too. Patrick says you're starting to hire writers and freelancers. You're hoping I could provide some info on project management for noobs. Cool. The main thing is to make sure people know what they're working on and when it's due. So I think a lot of, especially if you're just hiring some freelancers, like if you're really clear about when things are due, you'll be better off. If they miss deadlines and stuff, then maybe you should fire them. But yeah, basically that's the main thing. Start small. I would say start small with like as few people as you can and slowly add more people. I have a long blog post and a couple other videos where I go over like building a team. So I would say if you're not on, or yeah, if you're not on the email list, go sign up. But on the nichesiteproject.com, I have added a search bar now in the sidebar, so you can search for stuff. So if you search for like some of your questions, you should find some better info. Okay, I'm going to hop back to the other questions here that were sent in. I'm going to try and answer them fast. Do I have any issues with Google Page Speed Score and GT Metric Score when using Amazon image links? They're bringing your score down drastically. I don't really pay attention too much. And Matt says you're not testing the speed of the homepage. That's very fast, but the pages of individual posts. So I would imagine, yeah, that could be an issue. Just because it has to go fetch the content, and there are some configuration settings that are associated with those kind of links and stuff you can't change. So basically I would say maybe do fewer links like that, fewer image links to help that, but I haven't checked it extensively. Matt further asks, do I purchase and activate SSL certificates? The answer is yes. Matt is saying, you've heard it could help with Google rankings, even though it's not an e-commerce site. And what are my thoughts? Yeah, I don't think it's going to make a difference in rankings very much, to be honest with you. For like 3 years, people have been saying, hey, like your site's going to be flagged and it's not going to rank as well. Like Google's going to say, don't go to this site. If you're not e-commerce and you're not like gathering information, then usually it's not an issue. So, but that said, SSL certificates are basically free right now with like any hosting. So I would say you can, just do it. Don't switch like right before the retail season. Like when I moved over, I did this last year. I did it like in the middle of summer. So, okay, a few more questions were coming through. Oh, and Bynum says it comes from the White Hat, Black Hat show. So this must be the algorithm update. Okay, cool. I don't listen to that show. Maybe you should or watch that. Okay, Diana says you bought a bunch of domains 3 months ago. Will Google regard them as spam, or can I still upload content and rank well? It's fine. They won't regard it as spam, only if you do, weird stuff. But it sounds like if they're just sitting there, you're good to go, Diana. So don't worry about it. Polina says you have 265 backlinks and you have 301 redirects. There is one site that's putting your site in an iframe and he has 40 backlinks to my site. How should I remove them? The site has a 5 spam score on Moz. Okay. Could it be the problem? Maybe. I'm not sure. But I would just disavow. Actually, I would I would report the site and get it taken down. But you could also disavow them. But I would just get the site taken down if they're putting your site in an iframe. That's super. You should be able to do that in like by next week. It should be down. Let's see. And okay. And David, yep. So I'm drinking the tea today, but I'm gonna be switching over to coffee again in just a second. Um, and Duke says it looks like you're getting hit with negative SEO. Yeah, and I've heard some of that. There's been more negative SEO than I've seen in the past week, by the way. Rose says you put 2 backlinks on 2 authority Wikipedia pages on your niche. Cool. That's really cool. Logan says you have a site doing about $50 a day. Should you focus on KGR articles or backlinks at this point? It depends on what you have focused on before in the past. So I would say if you neglected something in the past, you should probably get that part to catch up. Ravi is on. What's up? And let's see. Michael is saying, oh, good to see you, Michael, by the way. Can I suggest a good VPN? So the one I use is called Viper VPN, and I think I got a good deal on it like back in the day. And I typically I don't know if I still have a good deal on it, but it seems to be consistent and I have it on my machine. So when I go to like a coffee shop or travel or whatever, that's what I use. And then off topic, and actually, Michael, everything's fair game today. You're asking about the ring or fill light attachment I use for my phone videos. So typically, it depends. I have a lot of different lights. One is this super cheap like desk light here. It's just a regular desk light that I clamp it onto my microphone stand right here. And it's not the most steady. I probably shouldn't have moved it just now. But anyway, so that's right there just because sometimes I'm in front of a big window. So sometimes the sunlight comes in like pretty intensely. Today it's a little overcast, so it's not too bad. But the big thing is this. I'm not sure if we'll be able to see it well here. Is one of these big light stand deals. So the light stand is awesome. Like I think I have 2 of those. They're 400-watt bulbs each, and they're great. They're really, really good. And I think it only costs like $60 or so. Yep. So typically that's what I'm using. And most of the time I'm trying to get in front of like a bright window, just because it's like nice, even light coming in. Okay. And Ravi, by the way, I saw your question again about the course, and I sent you an email, by the way, for 5-figure niche site. So yeah, just let me know what's up. I was going to say, I think I've gotten back to you a few times. So I'm not sure if there's like some miscommunication or something like that, but I've gotten back to you a couple times. All right. Duke, you sent me an email. Thanks. Others asked. Yeah, post the link for sure. Okay. And John says, any good examples of blog commenting for engagement and outreach? Just engaging with the person. So ask questions about like the content or make interesting conversation. So as far as specific examples, I don't have any, but I would say go to like neilpatel.com or Backlinko and look at some of the comments that are there. Those are actually pretty good. Oh, and SSL was one of the other correlations. Interesting. Okay. I'm going to hop back over to some of the other questions that were sent in. Okay. This one's a little long. I started a niche site a month ago. You've written 15 articles. All of them are how-to informational articles. You're ranking in the top 3 on Bing and Yahoo, but Google articles are in the top 100. Is it possible that your site's still in the sandbox? Yeah, I mean, your site's only a month old, so almost definitely in the sandbox. Another thing is you write a really good post that had no competition. It ranked number 4, but 2 days later, the post is gone. You know that your content was better and more in depth. What causes that? Thanks for all the content. All right, this is from C. Dana. Basically, I think this is all normal for a site that's a month old. So keep publishing content, keep moving forward, and in several months, you'll be in good shape. All right, next question from Thomas. What's the best and fastest way to find all the products within a niche within a specific price range? You want to find all the products between $200 and $250 in a product segment. How do I do that? Do you have to use a service? So Thomas, I would say just use the Amazon search features, and I'll pose a few questions back. Why? I've never found a need to find all the products. So, and to be honest with you, I haven't used Jungle Scout. I've seen it before, but I would say you don't need to know that information, Thomas. It could be interesting, but I would say if you just focused on what you're actually do, which I don't know, this question's a little out of context. So I would say I would just use the search. I don't know the best or fastest way to do it because I've never done it before. The KGR, this is from Valen, my buddy Valen. He says, how many times should we use the targeted keyword in the article? However many times you need to, man. So here's the thing. I can't tell you how many times to use a keyword. It depends. Also, if I said 5 times and then it was a 500 word article versus a 5,000 word article, like we're comparing apples and puppies, right? There's nothing common about it. So usually though, I'll try and be a little bit more helpful. Usually, if you're targeting a KGR term, you should use it in the title and then like 1 time in the article. That's it. A lot of times these are long phrases and you shouldn't use them too many times. Okay. And let's see. So Green Engineer, and I'm hopping back to the chat. By the way, I haven't asked about this, but if you have the opportunity to click the like, I've answered quite a few questions. If I answered your question, please do click the like button. Would really appreciate it. We have like 53 people on and only 18 likes. So we've been going strong here. So if you have the opportunity, I'd appreciate it. Okay, Green Engineer is saying you're getting 120 visitors a day, 70 clicks on your affiliate link, but only 1% conversion rate. What could be wrong? Can bots do that? Okay. So are you getting a 1% conversion rate? Green Engineer, if you want to set up time with me, I do some one-on-one coaching. By the way, everyone, I do some one-on-one coaching. These are the kind of questions where there could be a simple thing wrong and it may be really easy to fix. I would say you probably still need more traffic. But there are a number of questions that come up, like conversion rate. Is that like the conversion rate reported on Amazon? Is that the conversion rate from like a visitor on your site to a purchase? And then can bots do it? I think most of the technically, I don't know. Right. So I don't know. I would suspect that it's possible that a bot could do it, but most likely it's not a bot. Like the simplest answer is you don't have enough traffic. There are a number of other things, like what's the price point? Are the 120 visitors on like a single page, or is that on like your whole entire site? So there's a lot of factors out there. But if you want to book some time, I do one-on-one coaching where I could actually like help you. It's really hard to do it in this fashion. Pierre says, do I have any training on Facebook ads? No. You had an organic traffic drop at the end of April. Okay, it sounds like it's kind of widespread. And Pastor Duke says you had a drop in rankings on the big news site and you're starting to see a recovery after implementing the changes. Good to know. Good to know. Neil says, can you use a free theme? Yes. And Duke is mentioning the correlation study. So there's a link there. Thanks for doing that, Duke. Appreciate it. Diana says, is it a good idea to rank for non-buyers keywords? Yes, it is. Logan says you need to set up your one-on-one call for the course. You have a couple sites to work on, but not sure which ones. Is that something we could talk about? Yeah, totally. And Logan, just shoot me an email to the support email address and we could set it up. Yeah, definitely. Whatever you need help with. And Guru Anton is the first time on, so welcome. Glad to have you on. Michael says, based on a recent question, is there some utility in targeting Bing or Yahoo users? No, not really. No, don't worry about it. If you do well on Google, then you'll probably do fine on the other search engines. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. Patrick says, is there a way to buffer against negative SEO from the start of the site? Not that I know of. Not that I know of. Like Google's pretty good understanding like what links are terrible, but if someone is persistent, then they can indeed hit you with negative SEO that is actually effective. Okay, and I'll just say Anton, so I don't trip over the word or your first name there. You have 100 articles. 3 are buyer intent, 97 are informational. They're not even related. How do I see in analytics how many guys are hitting those 3 articles exactly? So just go to Google Analytics and look at those pages, and then you'll have it. And Super says, is 1,000 words a good amount of content for low competition? Yes, that is. Cool. All right, some more questions that were sent in. Do I have any tips for high consideration, high price products? It seems like people often need a little more than just best X for Y roundup before they drop, say, $800 on Amazon. Is it worth pushing those readers toward a full review, even if the product itself probably won't rank? Do I go more in depth than, or do I go more in depth for best of Y articles? Any other tips? That's from Evan. Okay. You know what? I don't know. I don't target like super high price products like that because people don't buy as many of them. So I would say, yeah, I think your hunch about giving a longer review is probably good. It depends on the product and the kind of user. So if let's say it's some kind of let's say it's like some kind of fancy stereo equipment with like tube amps and stuff like that where people really geek out, I would say a super long review would probably be good and really in depth would be good. So, yeah, your hunch is probably right. But if it's like, let's say it's a stove, some people like are not going to go into super deep research. It just happens to be an expensive thing. But if it's something where someone geeks out on, then it's probably more interesting to write something longer. Next, we have Harsh says, what would be the minimum investment to start a niche site? You're not good at content writing. So I'm going to make some assumptions based on that. So the minimal investment technically would be like $150 or something like that for the first couple months. You need to get hosting. You maybe need to pay for a theme. You maybe need to get a couple tools just to make things easier. and you're not good at content writing. So at a minimum, like $150 for the first couple months. You say you're not good at writing, so I'm assuming you don't want to write at all. So I would say you probably need to allocate like $20 per article and launch with 10, 10 articles. And then after that, that should get you for a little while. So at that point, you're in for about $350. And I'm assuming you don't want to write anything. Okay, we're almost through the questions that were sent in. I have a brand new website. You're starting to write posts. Do I put affiliate links in from the beginning, or is it better to leave that until you get the first 10 posts, or does it matter? That's from Amin. It doesn't really matter. I would say, I would wait to put the affiliate links in until like you're ready to start getting traffic. So, and that's based on the assumption that you're not already in the Amazon Associate program. But it really doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. And next, and I see Mr. Glue Power ask a question. So I'll try and answer that in a second. But for the best, or for the keyword best this or that, SEMrush says a volume of. Okay, so the real question is, this is from Marjan, by the way. So the question is really around keyword research tools in the search volumes that they cite. So each tool uses like a different algorithm. They're all estimates, by the way. All of them are estimates. So the question is, which one is accurate, right? We're talking about the keyword golden ratio, and the numbers matter a lot. So the answer is, it doesn't really matter. Just pick one tool and use it and stick to it. The keyword golden ratio is very aggressive. That's why it can work across like whatever keyword research tool people are using, it seems to be fine. What you don't want to do is start looking at a bunch of different tools and then try and come up with like an average, because it's just a waste of time. So just pick one tool, stick with it, and just if you find a correlation where like you're having a hard time to rank or something like that, then you can use some different metrics, right? So like once you start going, then you'll be able to see what's working or not working well for you. So basically, don't worry about it. It's just an estimate across any of the tools. And cool, we made it through the ones that were sent in. Next, all right. So Mr. Glue Power is asking about Project 24 or my offering and why. So I can't actually answer this well because I don't know Project 24. I don't understand like the offering or the pricing or anything like that. So I don't know, and I won't claim like to pick mine over, and that's the income school product. I won't say pick mine over theirs. What I can tell you is like my course 5-figure niche site has been around for like 2 years in its current iteration. It's been honed and refined. There are many students that have been through it and really got a lot out of it and like have created successful sites. So I'm confident in the offering. I would say, to be honest with you, when you're looking at these different products, because there's a lot out there, and I'll mention them too, right? So there's like Authority Hacker. They have a couple products out there. There's Cloud Living. I think Niche Pursuits has a product as well. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I would say you should pick one, whoever you like working with the best, whoever you relate to the best, right? So I have a project management background, and it turns out there's a pretty good number of like project managers that enroll, or IT professionals, or someone who has like a similar corporate background. So that's what I'm seeing, right? There's also a lot of just professionals. So there are some like lawyers and doctors and other people that have sort of a professional background. Maybe you like the way I talk or something like that. I use a few big words, but not too many. So some people like don't do any video. They have no video in their course. They hired someone. Like there's a course out there where the person doesn't do speaking, right? They don't speak company to create the course for them, right? So they just hired someone. They said, here's the information we want to have in, like here's sort of the guide, and they hired a company to create the course for them. So for that one, like I guess you would have to like the individual blogger, and then also have to figure out like, okay, is that course going to be valuable or not? So I think my biggest strength is being able to um, like put a framework around like all the content and all the tasks that a person has to do, and placing it in like the right order with the right emphasis on certain parts so it doesn't like overwhelm you too early. So you can actually get through it. So when you go through the course, I think there are some people that actually enrolled like in the last couple months, and they are already getting traffic. They're already like making money. So I think like my model for 5-figure niche site is one of the fastest ways to get the quick wins, which is super important. So again, let's say you're an IT director and you have limited time, you have a family, and you're like, I have some money to spend on like the course and content, and I want to see if this model works as quickly as possible. I don't want to spend, 6 to 12 months trying to figure out like if this article is going to rank. It's much better to like, publish something quick, execute fast, use project management, agile sprints of work so that you could get something done, and then see that it works so that you know where to focus your time. And, from a big picture thing, let's say you're telling your wife, hey, I want to like do this side income thing, or your husband or whoever. And basically you're like, I think it could work, but I haven't done it before, but some people are saying that they're able to do it because I was in that position too. So it's really good to have the quick wins a little bit faster. So, I mean, it doesn't take long to have some meaningful money, right? You make an extra $75 a month. Like you can, go out to an extra dinner, depending on how much, how much beer you drink, or how much you eat or how big your family is. So anyway, Mr. Glue Power, I have no idea. I could only tell you about like what I offer. I'm not sure about the Project 24. The Income School guys are great though, and I'm sure it's a great product. Pierre says, what am I using SEMrush for and why do I like it? So I have a couple videos on that. So you may want to check those out. Basically, I like to like look at the keywords that my site's ranking for, and then a bunch of the competitors. And from there, you can put all the data into a CSV, you filter it down, and then you're left with like good keywords to look for, right? If you want to find like how-to articles, or informational articles, you would like search for how-to, and then you have your ideas there. And I was just about to click over to the spreadsheet because I see Michael says you sent a question in, but the window just like slammed closed. All right, let me see what you got here. Okay, so Michael says, and by the way, Michael is a 5-figure niche site student. So, and actually, in the chat, if people want to mention things about the course, feel free to. Okay. And Michael, don't forget, the best way to get support is definitely through the email. So don't forget about that. If I don't want you to wait for questions for these live streams if you have them beforehand. Okay, so the KGR keyword has 43 results. There are 2 affiliate sites in the top 5. Moz shows weak PAs, page authority. In addition, weak on-site metrics, both competing sites have articles that are 8,000 words long. Do I believe that an article should be created that is longer than 8,000 words for a keyword with such low results? So Mike, basically, if you're starting a site brand new, I wouldn't try to publish something that long. I would recommend that, it looks like there's a lot of content that you have to compete with lengthwise. So I would say, you know, aim for like 2,500 words, something a little bit more approachable, and then come back in a month or so after you have other content posted, and then go ahead and publish more, add to the content. So I wouldn't try and do the 8,000 out of the gate. I would probably come at it in an incremental fashion. And that's kind of how I approach a lot of stuff, just in general. Okay. Super says, in my experience with KGR articles, how many was enough to start seeing income? My first test, I did 20 posts. You could do 10, but 20 would be better. How much income do you usually see at first? Like dollars, like few dollars, but that's not a really good question. Yeah, it starts slow and starts small, but it's not. Yeah, I'm not sure. Can you give me more context? I guess you're just wondering how much you can make. Not much, right? It starts slow, and if you're kind of asking like you're asking about minimum stuff. You're like, oh, what's the least I could do? Well, if you do the least that you could do, you're gonna get like kind of not that impressive results, right? But if you do more, then the results are better. So the more work you do, the better you'll be. And Chris. Okay, so Chris, you sent in this question the other day as well, and I thought I put it on the list, but basically, here's the thing. It's a long question and it's kind of weird. I'll read it out for you though, Chris. All right. If you need extra help, you should book like some one-on-one coaching. Because this is kind of outside the scope of what I can really answer. But I'm gonna read it out because maybe I'm wrong. Right. I'm wrong all the time. So I'll read it out. So you've been following me for 4 months. That's cool. Thanks for the support. You list your website below, so I won't mention it here. You made a post and it has a search volume of 33,000. You've been updating it and now you're ranking number 5. You constantly go back and put in more content. Okay. So if Yoast SEO, oh, this is a different question. Sorry, buddy. Sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to. It started the same. So my bad. So if Yoast SEO says I'm fine and not keyword stuffing, am I good? The answer is no. I would not. I mean, I'll come back. The answer is no, though. You currently only have one backlink and you're wondering if I suggest anything to try and climb up higher. Your content should be compared to the competition, or sorry, my content compared to the competition has much more information, and I'm wondering if I just stay patient and let it go over time, or is there something you should do differently? Okay, if I remember correct, Chris, and sorry, I misunderstood the question at first. Okay. I believe your site's fairly young, so be patient and you should be fine. So that is the overall answer. The minor question that you posed was like, should I trust the Yoast SEO plugin? The answer is no. Here's the thing. The Yoast SEO plugin is good for a general content writer. However, we are sophisticated, like SEO knowledgeable people who are doing like really deep keyword research, right? So you're trying to do something like really kind of specific. So the thing is, you should not listen to Yoast. Okay. So if you're using the tool and you're not and you're just blindly accepting like what Yoast is telling you, that's a mistake. So don't follow that. And I would say here's how you should think about it, Chris. All right. Research your competition and check their keyword density using SEO Quake, and then figure out what the average is. And then you'll be in good shape. Now, I think it's amazing that you are ranking number 5 for a term that big. So I think that's amazing. And yeah, you're asking if I would suggest anything to try and climb higher. Yeah, I have like 10 ideas. I'll throw some out, but like I said, this is not the right venue to actually get like actionable help. It's unfortunate, but there's, I mean, you tell me the website, but the thing is, like there's no substitute for like going in auditing, like us looking at it together, Chris. But I would say get some backlinks. I would check out like long tail keywords that you're ranking for and optimize around that. I would create more content around the topic that is related, and then you'll have some relevancy around it. I would aim for KGR compliant keywords. I would probably publish like 5 to 10 posts that are KGR dealing with a topic. Hopefully those will rank quickly. Google already likes your site, and then link those to the post that you are trying to push up. And those few things should be good. If you're ranking number 5, you're probably not keyword stuffing, by the way, but I'm not 100% sure. So hopefully, Chris, let me know if that helps. Oh yeah, and Hydra says both of the courses are good. Pick the one you like, or pick the one you like. The people. Don't try and mix and match courses. That won't work. And I will say, like, I've had quite a few students who purchased, like, say, the Authority Hacker course, and then they check mine out. Like, we cover things differently. And I personally have purchased multiple copywriting courses and other things related to that sort of like topic. Um, a lot of times, like if once you get to a certain level where you're competent, you can take other courses and like cherry pick the pieces that you have missed, or you're like, oh, you know what, I've implemented that in a slightly different way, but what I can do is take this piece. But it's very big to be introduced to the community, as Hydra is saying here. So like the other part is like the Facebook community, where there's other people who have the same baseline set of knowledge and they have skin in the game too. They paid for the course as well. And once you do that, you filter out a lot of people who are, they're just like mildly interested. They're not yet at a point where they're like investing time and money into it. Okay, so cool, Hydra. Those are good points. And then you also say, like, I've been around. Doug's been around for a while, and there's not negative reviews. So thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah. Anthony says, since Amazon takes a few months to pay out, do I recommend other companies that pay out faster? No, not a concern. Okay. Osama says, you have a complete team with a great expired domain. You'll launch a site. It's going to be an authority site. So what's best, niche site or authority site? They're basically the same thing. So it just depends on what you're trying to do. John's out of here. See you later. Mike says, thanks. You purchased courses before, and this is the first time you feel like you have a chance. Awesome. Thank you. Just didn't get the type of mentoring and guidance that you are here. Awesome. That's cool, Mike. Thanks. And Michael says, Niche Pursuits, Spencer from Niche Pursuits has a new plugin for images. Am I aware of it? Any thoughts? I heard that it was coming out. I don't have any thoughts on it. I'm not affiliated or anything like that. I think Spencer usually has good products, but I don't put as much weight into images as other people, to be honest with you. I use the site stripe, and like it's fine. But a lot of people, I mean, I would say it's usually beginners who are more worried about like, oh, I need to have a bigger image. I need to have a much better looking image. And I haven't found that to be as important. for me personally. And Anthony is asking about recommendations for tools that work for digital downloads, like selling PDFs and MP3s, either plugins for WordPress or other websites for digital downloads. Um, I don't have a lot of experience in that area, but I have used Gumroad a few times. It's a little more expensive, to be honest with you, but the ease of use is very good and it's really not too bad. And Green Engineers out of here. Good questions. Have a good weekend too. Chris says, thanks for the answer. You sent an email inquiring about the one-on-ones. Cool. Sounds good. Yeah. Super says, what's a common trait I see amongst affiliate marketers who don't see success? Oh, nice, insightful question. So usually they quit. So that's an easy one. They usually quit or they shift around too much. So people that are beginning with affiliate marketing, they're usually like, okay, I have like 10 things I could do. They're like, oh, I could publish Kindle books. They're like, hey, I could be a social media manager and like help people out and have a service. They're like, hey, I could do an SEO service. They're like, I could do affiliate marketing. I could do Amazon FBA. I could do drop shipping. I can do info products. So there's like all these possibilities. They're like, I can start a podcast. I could do a YouTube channel. Like it never ends, right? There are so many things you can do. Any of them will work, but the other part is the failure thing is like someone will move, they'll try something for like a month or two, and then they then move on to something else. When it turns out like almost anything will work, you just have to stick with it long enough. Because there are people that are successful in each one of the things that I mentioned and way more, right? So like maybe you could do an app, but you can't do all of those things. You can't do all of them at once. You could do all of them over the span of time, right? But you can't do all of them at once. The other part, um, as far as people who don't find success, this could, all right, take this as like just a solid piece of advice. If you could find answers to questions yourself without asking other people, which is funny in a Q&A, right, for me to say this, but if you could find answers yourself for most questions, not all, right? I mean, there's some great value in being able to talk to someone who's more advanced, right? That's why I'm here. But if you could find answers to questions that are accessible to you, you'll come out way ahead. You'll notice that there are some questions that were asked today that a person could have like looked it up and found the answer. The most interesting questions are the ones where, say, like John, for example, who left earlier, he was one of the success story interviews. The link for the playlist is below. Like the questions where someone's more well informed, it's like 2 or 3 layers deep. It's more interesting for me to answer. But it also shows like it's very subtle too, right? You may not notice, but like if someone has done a bunch of research and then they ask the question, like it's the subtext of the question like tells me that they've done research ahead of time and they've exhausted what they could find. Um, so I think if you can't find answers to your questions or you need reassurance often, it's probably not going to work out because there's a lot of areas, especially, it could take you 6 months to make like real progress in certain areas, especially, I mean, if you don't have a course to lean on to go through the process and have people to ask questions, then like you could be going on sort of an indirect route. So it can take you longer. I mean, you don't need my course, right? You could do it without it, but you can do things faster if you have like the right steps in the right order. So hopefully that helps. Super. Anthony says, how important is an email list with niche sites? Not important at all. Not important at all. not important at all. Oh, and you could see Georgie's poking her. She woke up from her nap here. So let's see. Authority Aid says, why do I use Bluehost Favicon for my website instead of my own? Well, it's not actually Bluehost, I don't think. I think it's WordPress. And the reason why is because of Thrive Architect. So it's on my homepage, I believe. But the other pages, because my homepage is Thrive Architect, but my other pages should have a favicon. However, this is a good like learning point. It doesn't matter. Who cares? It doesn't matter what the favicon is. I mean, I know there's some branding things, but there's a lot of stuff, right? I mean, a logo. There's a lot of things you don't need to worry about. I am, by the way, Authority Aid, coming to a point where I'm like, I need to clean up my branding a little bit. It looks a little sloppy, and it was because I mean, some of the stuff on my homepage, for example, was like 4 years old, right? I did the best I could at the time. It was I was working a full-time job back then, so I was doing the best I could. And now I'm like, okay, I could spend a little more time on it, and okay, I need to improve the branding. It doesn't look um, like I want it to. So I'm trying to go through and improve it. All right. So Authority Aid. Hopefully that's helpful. But yeah, I Thrive Architect and the Thrive products are pretty tough to use. And Rose is saying, I don't see my questions anymore. Yeah, I haven't seen anything. Let me see. Did you send one in as well? Jeff sent one, submitted one just a moment ago. Jeff says, is a 2,900 local monthly searches okay to build a site around if there are enough KGRs? Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Conversely, is a 720 local monthly searches okay with ample KGRs? Yes, the answer is yes to both of them. Yeah. And I think a lot of times, once you get moving, you're usually able, Jeff, to find more. You're able to find more. Okay, Osama says you were able to buy a good expired domain with good backlinks related to the brand and not a specific keyword. What do I think? Is it going to be helpful in the long run? It could be helpful. So Osama, the problem is sometimes sometimes the expired domains will make all the difference. Now, was it expired or was this an existing domain that you got from an auction? If it was expired, it's less likely to be helpful. The likelihood, I'm not sure. But if you had a auction domain that was never expired, that's better. And you say you're going to build a brand and not just a small site. Okay, great. Yeah. I mean, you should be fine. You may be able to shortcut the sandbox a little bit. Let's see here. All right. Things are slowing up a bit. Just a quick reminder, if you haven't checked out the playlist of these success stories, there were many people in the chat today that have been featured, right? I interviewed quite a few folks, and if you haven't liked this video and I answered a question or I was at least a little bit helpful, please do like the video. We have like 44. That's pretty good. And if you're watching the replay, leave a comment. All right. Yeah, the questions are slowing up. Let's see if there's anything else interesting going on. So a couple things, like I said, actually to Authority Aid, I am working on certain, it's related to branding, not the favicon. Again, that kind of stuff really doesn't matter that much. But the thing is, I'm working on cleaning up some of the niche site projects, so it's easier to find stuff, right? So sometimes I get questions like, hey, I was looking for some template. So I'm trying to make it a little bit easier to find. I do realize, you know, to the point earlier, it's like some people just don't look, right? Some people don't try to find stuff. And I remember there was a professor in college that I had. It was like I think it was like intro to operating systems or something like that. It was a CS class. This professor, he had a reputation, like some CS directors do, but he sort of gave us a hierarchy of like asking questions. So he was like, okay, so first try to find the answer yourself. Actually, I should do a blog post on this. I should write it down. Try to find your answer yourself. Use your resources, right? Like you have some textbooks, you can look things up. We were like doing operating systems, like programming and that sort of stuff. So you could use the man pages. Who here knows Unix stuff? So it's like, use the man pages, like look it up, use the manual, right? Use the manual. So that was the first step. Try and find the answer on your own. The next step was your peers. So ask your friend, like see if they could help. Maybe you check out like some forums if it's relevant, right? And in our case, I think we had some message boards or something like that back in the day. So after you check with your peers, then you can maybe go to a TA, the teaching assistant, to ask a question there. And then maybe you go to the head TA if they don't know the answer. And then after you have checked with the head TA, then you could ask questions to the professor, right? So like, it's that sort of, that's an exaggeration. And he was being a little dramatic. But I mean, in a lot of ways, he was like, you really should be able to like look up the answer on your own. And by like talking with your peers and the TAs and like getting more like in depth with like other people and like sharing ideas, like you learn more that way than, like I said, if you're asking a question here when it's something you could like easily Google, not the best use of like a question. If you could just like Google it. Hey, Georgie. Hey, Georgie's gonna knock down my light here if I don't intervene. Hey, Georgie, come here. Hey, you're all right, girl. Yeah, everything's good. All right. And my man Graham says, "What's the best and worst part of being your own boss?" So the best part is I have freedom with my time. So if I want to, I usually walk Georgie for like 2.5 hours a day, and then I go to the gym for like a couple hours too. So that's the best. That's the best part. The worst part is sometimes it's hard to figure out what to work on. So I'm getting better at it. And like I said, I strategically choose certain things to work on at certain times, right? So like the branding on Niche Site Project has been terrible for a very long time, but it wasn't the worst thing. So I was like, it's good enough for now. I'll come back to it later. And you know, that is an important lesson across the board. Like for your affiliate sites, if you're doing a YouTube channel, like if it's good enough, just move forward. You can fix it up later. All right. So Graham, good question. I know you're probably thinking about some of that stuff on your own too. Xland says, what website themes for WordPress are the best for affiliate sites? And is the design important when you're building your affiliate site? It doesn't really, I don't know what theme I could, this is one of my points often. I could, and I probably will like review more themes in the future. I can make affiliate income by recommending themes, right? But I usually don't recommend all that many things. When you hear people recommend themes and they're affiliate for it, their credibility is slightly in question just based on the fact that they have an incentive to recommend a product that you may not need. Thrive Architect, for example, right? A lot of people recommend it, really strong branding, very good marketers, and like people recommend it all over the place, but it's not really needed. So the answer is whatever theme you know how to use already that's clean and simple, I would use that. And you're asking, is the design important when you're building your site? Not really. It just needs to be clean and people need to find the information. Super says, can you direct us at examples for niche sites? So 2 places I can direct you to. One, actually 3. There are 2 playlists on my channel where I like tear down sites. Super. Have you seen these videos yet? They're amazing. All right. They're really awesome. So go find those. And then the other place is my site niche site project where I look at 17 different affiliate sites. And I have a feeling this link is just not going to work, but I'll try and put it in here anyway. So super, if you could follow that link, a lot of times in the chat, it just doesn't work. So you could copy and paste the actual text. But if you just go to my site, go to the blog, you'll be able to find these real examples. So some are good, some are bad, and I like tear them all down. Okay, Osama, yeah, so you know Unix, that's cool. Marcus says you've been hoarding KGRs and sometimes you see the results were omitted because they were very similar. You assume these results are not included in the calculation of the KGR. Marcus, good question. Are you a student, by the way? Next, I'll say that I just use the results that are listed at the top. So whatever it's listed at the top of the results for allintitle, that's what I use. I know sometimes results are omitted and stuff like that, but I don't go and add those in or do anything. So just, yeah, use whatever's listed at the top. Oh, and Mama Needs Her Wine is out of here. Cool. Let me know how it goes with your MLM network marketing site. And yeah, Duke, I had customer support issues with Thrive as well. So, okay. And Marcus, yeah, if you need follow-up. So Marcus is a student, 5-figure niche site. Yeah, if you need additional help on that, feel free to shoot an email. Oh, and Duke is saying, I've tried to put links many times before, and it seems like most of them don't work, but it sounds like it's only redirects don't work in chat. So good clarification. So that's a direct link. It actually works. Oh, Evan, yeah, I answered your question somewhere in here. So check it out. Let's see if any others were sent in. Okay, cool. Cool. All right. Any other questions? Yeah, so oh, and Jeff asks another. If you can find 40 plus KGRs for a site, is that good or bad? That's good. Yeah, that's good as well. And it, like I pitched it a little bit earlier, but I guess maybe it's worthwhile to mention it again. I know people watch it various times, but I do one-on-one coaching. So again, I don't pitch it too often. A lot of times, someone may ask about coaching, but they may not be at a level where it makes sense yet. However, if you're making some money or like, perhaps you're like an IT professional, like I mentioned before, it tends to be a large part of the audience. One-on-one coaching can be really helpful to sort of accelerate the process, especially if you've done like a few months of research, like you're aware of like what needs to happen. The one-on-one coaching can be super helpful. So anyway, the point is some of the questions that come in the Q&As, like they're too in depth, right? They're too in depth to be able to answer them without me asking like, I don't know, 30 questions and like getting information, looking at analytics, like basically auditing your site, right? So if you have a specific question, sometimes there's like no way that I could help you without like a one-on-one session, right? So that is just the reality of it. Or I had someone email me the other day. They have like a digital product, like business, like sort of funnel set up, but like they haven't been able to like make it grow. And I've done like certain pieces. And the big thing with the coaching is I want to make sure I can help you. So, we can audit whatever it is you need help with, develop an action plan for you to execute, and then, get the results. Right. So I have the like advantage of having the project management background plus the affiliate marketing and then internet marketing background. I've sold my own products, multiple products over the years, and you know I have some copywriting experience, setting up autoresponders, that sort of stuff. That said, if you need like actual help, one-on-one coaching is the way to go. Some of the questions that are asked, it's just there's too much context to actually ask it and then get information without like looking at the site. Okay. Brian says, best way to cloak an affiliate link. I don't know the best way. I know you could use something like Pretty Link to just have like a free option on your site, and you could, use a redirect link. So, quick note though, Brian, if you're using Amazon, that's not like you're not allowed to cloak your links if you're using Amazon Associates. So, okay, cool. Looks like the questions have tapered down. Any others? I know there's a little bit of a delay. Couple things that I have been updating on Niche Site Project. I've been like rewriting certain portions, like the niche site process, which was a super long post. I'm working on like breaking that out in a more logical way, so it's more like a guide. And I'm actually, right, for the SEO nerds, I'm doing a bit of a silo around that topic, just because again, it was such a long piece of information. It was like 14,000 words. So I'm breaking it down into smaller pieces, and hopefully I'll be able to develop even more content around like, actually the stuff that I was saying before, like relevancy around certain topics, and then just have like it live within that silo because it makes sense for it to be there in that form of content. Big, huge, like page, right? Not a post, but a big, huge page that'll be sort of like, one of the main places someone would go on the site. Bleeding Range says you want to create an Amazon affiliate site similar to This Is Why I'm Broke. Is there a good way to get images of products legally? Sure. So there's a number of ways. I don't think my answer is going to help you though. So I'll tell you that. You can get them from Amazon. So use the site Stripe, or you could use the Amazon API. If you're trying to build a site like This Is Why I'm Broke, which by the way, I don't recommend that you do, but if you think you want to do that, you may have you probably know something I don't, but I would recommend that you don't do that. All right. So I recommend you don't do it. But if you wanted to, you could do that. You could, use the Amazon API. I imagine if you're doing a site like that, you're going to have custom coding made. So you can like have a custom theme built, or, adapt an existing theme that hits the API. You could hire a developer to do that for you. There are themes that already have that built in. So you could just buy a theme like the Ultimate Azon theme. You can get the images, and that's how you get them. That's a legal way to do it. It has to come through the Amazon API though. You could use a site Stripe, but I have a feeling you don't want to use images that small since you're trying to do This Is Why I'm Broke. And then there are many other plugins that use the Amazon API, so you don't have to do custom coding if you don't want to. But since you asked the question on how to get images legally, I'm assuming you're a beginner. I could be wrong, but I assume that you're a beginner. And if you're a beginner, I would say you probably don't want to try and compete with like This Is Why I'm Broke, unless you have like some really cool fresh take on it. And I would suspect it'll take, 1 to 3 years to like compete. Yeah. So Evan, yeah, you're right. You can get images through Amazon. Yeah. Totally. And bleeding, Ranger says somewhat a beginner. So yeah, I would say that is probably going to be a competitive space. And what I predict, I've seen sites like this try to be, or I've seen people try to start sites like this. Basically, you'll try it for like 6 or 12 months or so, right? You'll work on it for a while and it's not going to be generating much traffic and you will have put in a ton of work and then you'll quit. So I would recommend doing something more approachable at the start. Um, trying to create a viral site is hard. It's very hard. So I would recommend just try and aim for something a little bit more approachable at the beginning. Right. And let's see. Evan, since you're here, I'm going to just go back and answer your question about that. Oh, I'll answer it faster than I did before. But basically, Evan, yeah, if it's more expensive, probably add more information to the post. Yeah. Just add more information to the post, but I haven't tested this or anything like that. And one of the other caveats that I gave, which may or may not be helpful, is like if it's something where people geek out on the details, longer is better. But if it's like a stove, who cares, right? Maybe it's not as interesting. Or I could be wrong. Let's say it's like an induction stove with a convection oven and like multiple fans and all sorts of details like that. Maybe you can do a super long, in-depth thing, post about all those details. So yeah. Yep, and Duke brings up a good point about this is why I'm broke. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting model from a little while back, and it's not. And Duke, by the way, has experience with, you know, viral sites and stuff like that. Yeah, Ranger, if you haven't seen it, you can check out Duke's interview. There's a link in the description for a playlist of of success stories. And Evan says, "Thanks for outing my stove niche." That's funny. Ravi says, "Can I make a video for how to create an Amazon associate account step by step?" That's a reasonable idea. I'll I'll look into it, but that's the least of your worries. It's so easy to create an account. It'll only take you like 5 minutes. So I go a little bit more in depth in my course, but again, Ravi, that's one of those things where it's like, it's super easy. You don't really need, and see, this is one of my flaws. I could probably create that video and get some good views on it. So I should probably do it. It's a funny logistical problem. With that, you have to like enter tax IDs and go through some stuff. So I should probably, you know, I would have to go to a certain point and then stop. But basically, all you do is enter in your information. So there's really nothing to it, Ravi. Is there some part that's confusing to you or something? Um, oh yeah, and Duke. I mean, Duke says Alex has a video on it. I mean, there are so many videos on it. This goes back to my point earlier, like, you know, exhaust your resources. Yeah, there's lots of videos. I think there's probably like a step by step on the Amazon Associate site, right? That's where I would go first. Yeah, in fact, let me just look. Have a quick look because the thing is, yeah, it's very they do so much. They do so much. there's tons of information that they have on there. Looks like I'm having a hard time getting over, so I can't look for now. But yeah, check out WP Eagle's video on it. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions out there? Oh, a couple other things going on with me. So I'm updating. I'm updating. Or I'm at a point where I need to renew my PMP. So I'm taking like courses and I'm doing work associated with getting it renewed. You have to renew it every 3 years. And Ravi, okay, Ravi, are you on? Are you paying attention? Just say yes. I'm watching or I'm not watching. Because I think I think I could be missing something. So I'll give a little background. So Ravi, are you with me? Are you with me? Okay, so Ravi is here. So Ravi, I sent you an email about the course. So check your email and reply back to me. And like you've asked a couple times, Ravi, and I think I've answered you already. So I'm not sure. Like, if you want to get in the course, let's do it. Like, let's do it. Join today. Just send me an email. We'll get you in today. But since you haven't replied to any of my other emails, it makes me nervous. Makes me a little nervous. So I'm not sure what that means, but I've tried to get in touch with you a few times and you haven't, and you keep asking me to enroll in the course, but when I let you do it, you're not doing anything. So what's happening, Ravi? What's going on? Okay. And Sindana says Amazon is great. Someone clicked your affiliate link and bought a $1,000 drone, but it was out of stock, so he canceled. But you are motivated. That's cool. Stick with it, Sindana. And Super says, "What am I buying for Mother's Day? A stove?" No, that's definitely pricey. Okay. Any other questions? It's definitely tapered down. I did finish my tea, and Ravi, did you get my email? Did you get my email there? Maybe it ended up in your spam or something. I don't know, but I've definitely tried to get in touch with you. I know you've emailed me a couple times. I've tried to email you back. Yeah, and Patrick, you could be right. I see your message there. I think you could be right. Most of the time, these situations are like that. So insightful, Patrick. Thanks for the reminder. It's an interesting thing, man. This window keeps closing with the questions in it. All right, cool. Any other questions? And again, Patrick, thanks for the insight. Yeah, it's funny. Like when that sort of thing happens, it's like, isn't that a surprise sometimes? So, but the funny thing is, like, the big thing with the course is like to actually get interaction with me and then the community. So if you don't have that, then all right. Sean says, am I looking to do a video on H tag use on a post and how to structure a post properly? Oh, I'll put it on the list. That's a good idea, Sean. Cool. And then Nick says, you appreciate all the videos. Oh, you're welcome. You followed for a while and you're on track to do 1K this month with Amazon. Very cool. Hey, Nick, will you shoot me an email? Any chance you want to be one of the success interviews? I think Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like a lot of people have been following for a bit. All right, cool. Marcus, you're welcome. But yeah, Nick, shoot me an email. And Sean, I am putting this on the list because that's pretty good. It's a deeper topic, slightly interesting. And yeah, congrats, Nick, by the way. That's quite a feat. All right. I think we're good to go. Oh, and you know what? I think here's another, since I'm just talking. I've talked about podcasts, starting a podcast for a while, and I still have an interest in it. Actually, a high level of interest in it. But the cool thing, well, we'll see how cool it ends up being. But the interesting thing is, my wife is starting to listen to podcasts too. So I listened for 7 years before she even started listening to podcasts. Occasionally, I would like force her to listen to one or two topics, some of the early smart passive income podcasts where I was like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. That was years ago. But my wife and I are probably going to start one. I don't know when, but we're actually going to record this weekend. We've been brainstorming. It's going to be more um, broad than affiliate marketing. I will probably try to cover some affiliate marketing topics because I could talk ad nauseum about this stuff as we're doing right now. But it'll be more like, you know, corporate life, right? 9 to 5, people hating their 9 to 5s. We're not sure how to frame it exactly, but I mean, I worked a corporate gig for like a decade or so. Started, I mean, I learned a ton and hated it while I was going through it, but really learned a lot with all of that corporate experience. And like I mentioned, a lot of people that end up, following me on Niche Site Project or on the channel have like a similar IT background. It just works out that way. We talk the same language, we have a similar education and all that stuff. Not 100%, right? There's a wide spectrum, but a lot of people have done some IT work. It's a common thread. Anyway, the point is, it'll be a more broad like set of topics, some sort of funnier stuff that, or at least we think it's funny. So we'll see if it's actually funny. But it's like traveling, right? So I did consulting. My wife did consulting too. So our first jobs out of school, we were, flying out on Monday morning. We were coming back on Thursday night. We were getting a per diem. We were making good money, and we thought we were so important because we were like 20, whatever, right? We're in our early 20s, like telling people how to run their businesses. We don't know how to run a business. We don't know what we're talking about. But we went through training for like a month or whatever, and then they send us out with clients and bill us out for some crazy amount. We're staying in hotels that are like a couple $100 a night. I don't feel bad about buying a $6 coffee at the airport. And like I said, you think you're important, but you're not really. um, so living through that, and then there's a whole other like subculture of this sort of like consulting and like living on the road, like lifestyle. And when you fly, you'll see the business travelers, and I was one of those guys for quite a while. And Patrick says, same here. You'd love to hear a podcast and how I transitioned. Cool. Yeah. And I think, a lot of people, it was a very slow transition. Perhaps like we'll figure out how to like tell the story, but like while we were working remotely and stuff, we were able to like travel a little bit, right? So we were able to like slowly branch out. And then, Patrick, I can't remember if we've exchanged emails or whatever, but like we ended up selling our condo, going on a road trip for 3 months, knowing that we would didn't have a place to move back to, and we moved out west, so we're in Bozeman, Montana now. And that was like 3 years ago. So this time 3 years ago, we were still vacationing. We were like up in Whitefish, Montana, which is close to Glacier. And like I said, we were working remotely in this small town, just hanging out. It was really crazy. And then, yeah, just like these slow like steps over the course of like 2 or 3 years. And then next thing you know, like we're doing this. And Evan says, people in the US have way too much identity importance wrapped up in what they do to make money, in your opinion. Yeah. And I think it's really hard. I mean, we see, there's so many topics that like we can go into because I'm like, I went to college. I was kind of good at math and science. So they were like, be an engineer. I like computers, computer engineering, right? So like roped into that. And then like halfway through, I realized, kind of this kind of sucks. I don't want to like design like chips. I don't want to do like this sort of design work. And I just, luckily, I got a good job through a referral. So I got a good job doing the consulting stuff where I got like a broad range of stuff. And then, you know, it worked out okay at the end of the day. But the point is like going back to college, it's like, oh, I maybe should have like gotten some other completely different degree or like double degree. But looking back, like knowing what I know now, it's very interesting, right? So anyway, we very slowly transitioned from the corporate stuff until I got laid off and then was able to run with the affiliate marketing stuff. So yeah, super interesting. Like talk about college stuff, can talk about resumes and interviewing. Like we've interviewed a bunch and been on like, the interview side of the table, but I've also interviewed people in my gig. So I interviewed like probably over 100 people. It's over 100, but I'm not sure by how much. Um, Looked at, hundreds of resumes and gone through that whole cycle. And okay, Patrick says it's really interesting. It's good to hear. We thought it's interesting, and we think we're really funny after we have a few beers, that sort of thing happens. So we'll see how we do when we record it. But we'll probably have some refining to do. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting. Maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe I'll record some video and then I could just publish like the first cut for the really deep fans here on the channel, to check out the cuts, because I have the equipment to do stuff like that. All right, we've rambled on a ton. Any other questions, especially the people that just joined in the last bit here? And thanks, moderators, by the way. I know Duke was in here. Duke is fine member of the community. Appreciate it. No real trolls today that I could tell. And one of the cool things, I had just the proper amount of caffeine and stuff today. By the way, it was coffee early, and then yerba mate with green tea, and then coffee again right now. So I'm probably going to need to take a nap this afternoon. And if Graham's still on, that's one of the advantages. So I'll catch people up just a tad. So it was Bozeman Beer Week. I have actually two of my good friends, they founded Bozeman Beer Week, right? They're the organizers. They own the company and stuff. So they're doing that. And basically been going to a lot of activities. I have some other brewer friends as well. So there's just been a lot of activity going on having to do with beer. I was in the beer Olympics. We lost. And then I was also in the Bozeman, the beer mile, the first one here in Bozeman, to my knowledge, on a relay team. We finished third. We actually did really good. Our finishing time was 6 minutes and 15 seconds. Pretty insane, right? But anyway, the point is, no, we're all good, Duke. I was just saying thanks. Appreciate your help. So the part, what was I talking about? Oh yeah. The great part, Graham, of working for yourself is you could take a nap in the middle of the day. Now, I was a little tired, a little hungover after the beer mile yesterday. And I was able to do some work in the morning, fueled by caffeine. And then I took a nice nap in the afternoon, and it felt great. So Marcus, yeah, there is an art to getting the right amount of caffeine. If you go a little too far, I get a little grouchy and yeah, just in a bad mood and stuff like that. So, okay, cool. I think we did a good job. Yeah. So keep a lookout on or ask me about like the podcast stuff. I may even do a couple live streams where I'm like, hey, what do you guys want to hear about like corporate life, moving to Montana? Do you want to hear about like interviewing people? Like people actually ask about like project management often. Maybe I could just do like a little series on like project management stuff. So that's a really good idea. That's a really good idea. Cool. All right. Everyone have a great weekend. Thanks for the great questions today. And yeah, we'll catch you next time.